All right, here we go again on RSM 308, Recreational Sport Programming. We were talking about kind of the trends that are happening in sport during our last discussion. So we're going to pick up that and looking at um, attrition and dropout, and so basically, people leaving sport, and we see that the dropout rates in sport participation approach 80% by their age 18. So by age 18, we understand that most of the focus has become on those excellent participation or that excellence and focus on, you know, the commercializing of the skill and the professionalization of the skill rather than just participation. So we see that sport participation or dropout rates approach 80% by the time people reach 18, which is, sad because we want to keep people participating. We want to keep them active. We want to keep them involved in sport. Okay? Youth sports attrition is estimated approximately 35% per year. So as you move up, you can think about all the kids that participated in those first years of soccer, baseball, football with you, and then as time goes on, about 30% each year drop out. Okay? And one of the things that we see also with kind of that dropout attrition is that males continue to participate more than females, even in this age of Title IX, where that given females a big boost in participation, and we've seen a huge rate in their increase in their participation. We still see that they drop off as well, and don't participate as much as males still. Here's kind of a little chart to show you boy versus girl gender comparison of participation. Both pretty equal about at the age 6, 67%, but by age 13, females drop off to about 33%, and males stay about 60%, but then by the time they reach 18, females are down to 17% are participating, where male are only 33%. So we can see that drop off taking place with participation and gender. What happens with adults, and as you move into adulthood? Some of you are shifting into that realm now as you're getting ready to graduate college, and um, 6 of 10 adults do not engage in a recommended amount of physical activity. 1 in 4 report no physical activity at all. So about 60% of the population doesn't engage in the recommended amount of activity. They still get some, but not as much. And then out of that 6 to 10, out of that 60%, we're looking at almost a quarter report no physical activity at all. Inactivity is more prevalent among women than men in adulthood. Inactivity is also more prevalent among African American and Hispanic adults than white. And I think it comes back to partly some of the issues that we run into with affluence and socioeconomic status, where inactivity is related to the less affluent. So the less affluent you are, the less money and discretionary money you have, the less activity. The more affluent you are, the more activity. Yeah. That's what research suggests. Now, there's always exceptions to the rules and so forth, but that's kind of where we're looking, just to kind of give you an idea of what you're facing out there when you go out there when you're looking at trends. Inactivity is more prevalent among older adults than younger adults. So inactivity, older adulthood, younger adulthood, a lot of times you'll still stay a little bit more active, but we do see it drop off, particularly as you make that shift into family life and those type of responsibilities. And this is one of the kind of the trends that we see when we see with kind of obesity. And obesity, this is the certain percentage of BMI, or a certain score of BMI, basically body mass index, how tall you are versus your weight. And so the ones in the speckle green, which I don't see anymore, are 20%, less than 20% of the population. 20 to 25% is that green. So these western states, New York, New Jersey, kind of DC, are in that realm. And then yellow is 25 to 30% of the population is obese. Okay, and then you get up here to this 30% to 35% are obese. Now that's 2011. Okay, 2011. Now if we move into the next realm, now we see a whole heck of a lot less green. Hawaii, Colorado, and DC. Everything else is up into these major categories where, okay, yellow, the whole western part of the country, 25 to 30%. A little bit up here in the New England states. And then we got 30 to 35%. And then 35% of these people in these states are obese. Okay? And that's fairly scary when you look at all the other health related issues that arise with obesity. Now, obesity, they did use to measure this, they did use body mass index. Not perfect, but it does give you some indicators of whether people are overweight. Okay? And obesity is, I think it's 33 to 40% over what you should be as far as your body mass index. So it's your score is up in that range that falls into that obesity, and you can look up the scale on that with body mass index. It's not, like I said, not exact. It's just taking your height and your weight and a ratio there. It gives you a score, and then it tells you, well, how obese you are or how overweight you are. And some people are exceptions to the rule. Some people have a lot of muscle mass and may not be that tall, or they're tall and have a whole heck of a lot of muscle mass, and so it knocks off the thing because muscle weighs more than fat. But most of these people aren't in that category. Okay, they're not in that category, so they do fall into obese. Okay? So we can see that's a challenge, and what has happened over those 7 years, quite dramatic. So how do we get to those points? And these are some of we talked about the benefits. Now let's look at what the constraints are. And constraints, think of constraints or anything that prevents you from participation in this case, participation in recreational sport or physical activity. And these are the highest constraints, the ones that are most often given why people don't participate. And that we saw that change from going from adolescence to adulthood, or even sometimes with challenges with even being in school or family, cause that lack of time. Some people don't know what's available to them, and so they don't participate because they don't know. Lack of time because of other leisure activities. There's just too many options, and so they chose to do something else instead of the sport realm. I have no one to participate with. Commonly in adults, especially in later adulthood. Parking, availability, convenience. I served on a project with Myrtle Beach looking at recreation and the needs of recreation. And so many times parking became an issue, and in being able to park conveniently to it, because people don't want to, interesting enough, they don't want to walk to participate in physical activity or walk to participate in sport. They want to park right at the site, which interestingly enough, one of my colleagues did a little project and saw that most people didn't walk any further from the parking lot to, or even with what they were complaining about, they weren't walking any further than what they would walk through a Walmart. So while they're talking about convenience and availability, they walk more at Walmart than they do going to participate in sport. Lack of money and the fees associated with participation. Facilities too crowded. I don't have the will to participate. I don't feel comfortable participating. I lack the skills. in participating. Many of those, as you understand it, this is your challenge when you're out there in the workforce and trying to program and get people involved. This is what you're going to be confronted with, why people aren't participating. Okay? Many of these we can work with and try to help the people overcome to get them there. The 5 lowest constraints, the ones that my friends don't like recreational sport, I don't enjoy recreational sport, I lack transportation, social cultural norms prevent me, available activities inappropriate for my gender. That's the least given reasons why people don't participate. Interesting, we kind of want to look at why people play, and I know this research is older than some of you, but it still holds true. People participate to have fun. They participate to improve their skills. They participate to stay in shape. They participate in, it's something that they're good at and they feel like they're good at. They do it for the excitement, the risk, and they don't know the outcome of the results. They do it to get exercise. They want to be part of a team for the challenge of competition, to learn new skills, and to win. Interestingly, to win is number 10 on that list, and there's a whole lot of other ones in front of that. Why they drop out? It's kind of the reverse. I lost interest. I wasn't having fun. It took too long. Coach was a poor teacher. Too much pressure. Overemphasis on winning. Wanted to do a non-sport activity. I was tired of it. Needed more time to study. Coach played favorites. Sport was boring. Again, one of the things you find is a lot of those relate to the coach not putting too much pressure, poor teacher, playing favorites. It was boring. Overemphasis on winning. All that comes from parents or coaches, and it can really hinder the ability for people to want to participate. So influences, geographic location will influence what sports you're interested in, what you can do and can't do, past experiences, positive and negative. Okay. Availability of services, do they have the opportunity to participate? Socialization and support. And so do you feel like you're a part of the team? Do you enjoy being the people that you're participating with? Do you feel like you have support? If team sports, you're always going to have that time where you're going to be the one that messes up. Do you have that support there? The people are there to help you pick you up and get you going in the right direction again. Skill and performance level. Okay. You feel like you don't have the skill. You can't perform at the level that you want to. Does that cause you to drop out? A lot of people later on in life drop out of some of those sports because they're not as good as what they used to be. Their body can't do what they used to do. The constraints, interpersonal, come from inside the person. Feel like they're not good enough. To interpersonal, having that support and having individuals to participate with and that feeling of unity. To structural, how do we organize? How, as we as programmers, set it up that they can participate? Okay. Sometimes it's that parking and variability. Sometimes it's too heavy on win or losses, okay, and not the development and the skill production. Okay, so we have to look at those as well. So we hit you with a lot with the trends, the benefits, the constraints to participation, all challenges that you're going to be confronted with as you move out there, and if you want to work in this realm, you're going to have to want to get people involved. You want to get people active because of those benefits. You want to be aware of the constraints and the trends so that you can play towards those and overcome some of those constraints. So thanks. And we'll pick up next time and looking more at that kind of the structural side of it to help you plan and organize programs